Welcome back. The 2017 regular season is in the rear view mirror for North Dakota high school football teams, and now all eyes are on the final 30 teams competing for the 8 tickets to the Dakota Bowl. To get us set for the next round of the postseason, 740 The Fans' Brad Anderson and Chase Miller join our Jody Norstedt once again. Jody?
Well, thanks, Kelly. It is the best time of year, isn't it? Games are more meaningful. We're getting to see the best against the best, and eventually we'll be crowning a champion. We have plenty to get to, previewing the quarterfinal rounds of all 4 classes. Let's start with 3A, guys, as you take a look at the bracket. The West top seed Century hosts Davies, Cheyenne and Minot square off. Then it's the EDC champ West Fargo taking on Legacy for a second straight year, and Bismarck battling South. The only matchup where I don't see a clear-cut favorite, in my opinion anyway, is the Cheyenne-Minot game. For me, that one's a toss-up. What's going to happen in that one on Friday night, Brad?
I think it's all going to depend if Cheyenne can control the clock. I think that's a big part of it with that veer triple option thing that they run with Gallrap, and Parker Sanders been solid, and both those, they've used Hoffner and Goldaddy. A lot of different options there, and I think if they can control the clock, if they can win the battle up front, the time of possessions, limit turnovers. They had just 1 turnover in that finale against South. That's going to be key for them, and the weather might be a factor too. That might favor Cheyenne if the weather's kind of cool and windy like it's expected to be.
And for Minot High, it's their 21st consecutive season that they've made the playoffs. So you have a storied team compared to West Fargo Cheyenne, who's fairly new. Jason Gallrap is definitely going to have to be the bread and butter. But for Minot High, Creighton Rudolph, their quarterback, he's got a gun. He kind of reminds me of a Ben Belinsky there from a couple years ago. If he can get things going through the air and be enough of a dual threat, he can cause the Mustangs defense some problems. But if they get that triple option going, we've seen it happen a couple times. Gallrap gets in open spaces. Look out with the numbers that he's posted this year.
In 2A, Shamley and St. Mary's have the week off. What's the more intriguing matchup then? Watford City at Jamestown or Wahpeton at Devil's Lake, Brad?
Probably Devil's Lake and Wahpeton, I think. Just because the 6 overtime game was just one of legends, so to speak, down in Wap. But can they do that again? Can Dikey be a big factor? He's going to have to be for them to win. So I think that one intrigues me more.
And I take a look at the Jamestown-Wofford City game. I think that one's going to be a little bit better because of how Wofford City's currently playing. They lost their first 3 games, all against quality competition, but then you won 6 straight, beat Wahpeton, you beat Bismarck St. Mary's. They're going to be looking for a little revenge factor, too, going to Jamestown, getting blown out, as Brad said. And it's the first time for the Blue Jays that they've had a home playoff game since 1994. So that town, that crowd, they're going to be geared up for it. I think Wofford City and the Jamestown game is going to be a little bit more of an intriguing matchup than Wahpeton and Devil's Lake.
And I think what gets lost in all this, Shanley's the #1 seed. They play the winner of Jamestown and Watford City. Those 2 teams playing as well as anybody right now because, as you mentioned, Wofford City's won 6 in a row. Jamestown has lost 3 games by a combined 15 points to those teams that are 1, 2, and 3. That's going to be a lot of fun in Class 2A. In Class A, the game we thought would be the closest was Carrington against Oak Grove. It was as good as advertised. Cardinals win it by 6 points, meaning all of the home teams won. Which quarterfinal, though, has you most intrigued because there's some really good matchups, Chase?
I would have said Deluxe Burlington because we talked about them last week on the show. I said don't overlook the Lakers. However, their senior running back got injured in their game against Killdeer. He's out for the rest of the year. They had 3 turnovers against Killdeer that they were able to overcome. You're not going to be able to do that against Dickinson Trinity. I like Velva, and I like going up against Beulah. I think that's going to be a ground and pound game. Beulah, they run a different offense that you don't see every day with head coach Jim Dooley. They had over 300 rushing yards in their opening round win going up against Bishop Ryan. I think Beulah and Velva is going to be about a 1-possession game.
Yeah, I could see that. It could be like a 14-12 type of game. I'm going to go EEK and Langdon. I just think that's got the potential to be a shootout. We talked about the weapons that Langdon has last week, and some of that was on display, although Kindred did a good job, I think, shutting them down at times. EEK, boy, Greenike had a big game, and I think that's going to have to be the case again. He might have to go for 200 or more and see if he can carry him into to the next round like he did last year when they beat him to go to the Dakota Bowl.
9-man, I give Chase credit. He brought it up last week that Mayport CG is his Cinderella story, and Cinderella is still having a ball, right? After beating Nelson County 38-8. The Patriots are the 4 seed from Region 1, but now the Patriots have to play the top team in that region, undefeated Wyoming Lidgerwood in the quarters. I know you're calling this game, Chase. Do the Patriots have a shot against the Warbirds?
I think you got to say yes, and if I'm Mayport CG, I say put all the pressure on Weimar-Lidgewood. They're the #1 team from your region. They're the #1 team in state. No one would have thought that you would probably make the quarterfinals except for the coaches and the players probably on that team. If you can go down to Weimar-Lidgewood and come out with an early lead, I think that's always a big thing in pulling upsets. Come away with an early lead. You know, they have Harless, Vasquez, they have Furch. I mean, Weimar-Lidgewood just has weapons all over the board. But can you pick them off if they play one of their worst games of the season? If Mayport CG can play their best, they have a shot, but I think the Warbirds get the job done.
Well, you can check out all of our quarterfinal round predictions on the Midco SN blog. That's up on our website right now at midcosn.com. Chase, Brad, thanks for coming in again. We'll do it again next week. How about it?
All right, sounds good.
All right, Kelly, back to you.
All right, great stuff. Thanks so much, guys. When we come back, we're back in South Dakota where Jason Andera has some guests in studio to get the playoff pick'ems going. You're watching Midco Sports Tonight.